Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. When the timer hits 9 minutes and 59 seconds in this recording, you will have a fully developed life lesson that you can take with you and begin implementing immediately. This podcast falls under the umbrella of my greater personal development efforts, all under the Your Better You brand. For more information on accountability coaching or to gain access to tools, tricks, and life hacks, visit yourbetteryouinfo. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now, here is this week's life lesson. Fathers have the task, although mostly because they just sort of take the task, to teach life skills to their children. And some of those life skills are really just athletic skills that they turn into life skills because fathers are taking the task. But they're normally things that are really important. While hitting a fastball may not be the most important life skill there is the part about getting into the sport and learning how to be athletic and learning how to not be sedentary. One thing that is really a life skill and an athletic skill is learning to swim. And it was something that my dad taught me how to do. And it was something that was nearly impossible for me to actually get over. It was something I was extremely scared of. And he had a lot of patience getting through the whole process. And the process was pretty simple. Dad would get into the pool. I would start off on the side of the pool. I would jump in and I would paddle to him. And he would promise me once I got there, I could take a break. The thing was getting there, because once I started, I quickly noticed that he was backing up. He wasn't subtle about it. He was backing up a little too fast before the whole thing got started, so it was pretty obvious that I was swimming much further than I thought I was starting off to do, which is when I basically would start to panic because I didn't think I can go as far as I was going, and going even further was really, really difficult in the head of a 7-year-old. This lesson carried on into other life skills, which are actually just sports drills, such as from running, making sure I ran a little bit further than I was supposed to, in running for time and distance, saving up a little bit extra energy so you could make an extra burst and beat that last time. In basketball, taking a few more shots from the free throw line or taking a few more laps around the court or taking a few more layup drills so that I would be better at things than I thought I would be. All of the natural abilities would come to play when the time would come. I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't have to worry about mechanics because mechanics would be drilled in. And in fact, you'd be over-prepared. So if I was having to run a mile for that day, if I was practicing running a mile and a quarter, I would be over-prepared and have enough energy and enough stamina to go that extra bit, not full mile, of course, but to go the extra bit so that I could definitely beat my regular time for the mile and maybe have a little extra energy to push to overdo that at the end. Other than being a cruel dad thing, it really is a lesson in perseverance, pushing through, and giving just a little more, even when you don't think that you have it. Because giving just a little more adds up a lot over even a little bit of time. It doesn't take much effort to put in a little more effort, and it doesn't take much time to see how that little bit of extra effort will add into where you're going. A few extra cold calls may make a difference in making budget and over exceeding your budget needs for the month. One more attempt going through your practice deck before your big presentation could mean a difference between knowing what you have to say and really being able to deliver and feel what's going on and be able to do it on autopilot as opposed to stumbling if someone tosses you a fastball question you didn't see coming. This falls under my very, very fun thought of practice, and I always think of Allen Iverson and his practice line. I think that a lot when I get stuck in the practice mode. But when you're talking about practice, you're talking about pre-setup, talking about doing the things to get to the big game, there's a lot of work going into it, a lot of effort that must go into it. And the more you put into practice, the better you will play. In fact, the saying is, you play as you practice. People who play professional sports know that if they go to practice and they have their mission set for them, that is, they need to work on certain drills, they need to prepare for a certain team, they need to do what they need to do to get ready for game time, then the practice will be productive. And the practice will be more than just tossing around the ball or just running around the bases or just goofing off. It will be focused. It will be intense. It will be something that may even rival game time activity because you'll be so into it. It'll be just like being in the game. Except the points don't count towards the actual progression of the season. They just count in your head, and you know they count. Now, going back to the analogy I used with my father in teaching me how to swim, it was a really tough lesson to get through, as I said, because I was 7 years old and dealing with this thing that seemed like it was nearly impossible. I see that with my current 7-year-old who's having a hard time learning to swim on her own and is afraid to give up her swim noodle or her vest because she's just not confident enough with the fact that if she can do this on her own, she can make it to the other side of the pool and eventually she can stop and hold on to something structured. It's something that just doesn't seem like it works. Going a little bit further in something as scary as the middle of the pool seems like it's something that's impossible to do, but as I said, my dad was always there to catch me whenever I stumbled. And as I said, I stumbled a lot because I was not going for that. I could see what he was doing, and for some reason, instead of going a little further, I got scared. So sometimes the thought of going a little further, going one step more, taking one more call, doing one more shot, making one more lap, going over your presentation one more time becomes the freeze that keeps you from getting anything done, period. Because you know you have the time, and you know you have the energy, you know you have the ability to do a little bit more, but you're not seeing anything from what you're doing right now, or not enough, if you will. So you wonder if that little bit of extra effort is worth the extra effort, the extra time, the extra hassle, whatever it takes away from something else. Because you really just want to quit, give up, take a break, go on vacation, get away from whatever it is you're pushing. So that's a time to think about what it is you're actually pushing, where you're trying to go towards, what you're actually working to. Because maybe what you want to do is not worth doing it. At the time, in the pool, learning how to swim wasn't exactly the point where I really wanted to be because it was scary. But of course, as I got older and my friends were out there in the pool swimming by themselves, it was kind of important to have already known how to swim so that I can go off and do the swimming with my friends by myself without my dad watching over me as I was 13 the same way as he did when I was 7. Maybe the thing that you're working towards isn't as trivial or as far past and emotional state unstable as me learning how to swim, because I'm not a big fan of swimming right now. It's not something that I enjoy doing, something I can do, and it actually is fairly good exercise when I have access to a pool that isn't filled with kids splashing around. So learning how to swim and taking on that actual activity turned into a way to grow onto other activities that I saw as hard to do or nearly impossible to figure out as I got older. When I had issues with math in college and had to push through that, that was something that was nearly impossible, and I found a way to push through it. Specifically, I actually went the extra mile and learned enough so that I could teach other classmates who were also struggling. Therefore, I had the knowledge and the proficiency to actually do it on my own. The benefits of going the extra mile, the extra effort, the one more call, the one more shot, the one more time around the track, adding in just a little bit more and pushing just a bit further in your practice to make your actual performance that much better is a great thing, and the benefits can be seen pretty quickly, except when it becomes a bit of an obsession, and that's something that can be seen pretty quickly as well. If you become too preoccupied with what's going on in practice, with trying to fix one little thing that's going wrong, with trying to update one little piece to make sure things are perfect, because you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for a little bit better. You see that, you have to diagnose that quickly and learn to back away from that. You may need someone to actually limit your time and someone to be your official timekeeper, your official cutoff man to make sure you're not doing too much extra. But extra shouldn't be a bad thing. Extra should be a great thing. Getting a little extra practice is something that should be seen as a perfect way to get better at what you're doing, because you can never really perfect something. You can always find new ways to do something or better ways to improve on the process. Nothing is ever 100% proficient. So with that in mind, always look for another way to go a little bit harder, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit better, a little bit smarter in your practice. So as the saying goes, that practice makes perfect. We all know that's not what we're shooting for. We are looking for better. So are you doing better? Are you working better? Is the extra practice doing better? And if it's not, you need to look into your heart and see if what you're working towards is actually there to begin with, if you actually have the desire to do that. Because that could eliminate any extra effort, any extra hard work you're putting into all that extra practice. Once again, thank you for joining us for the journey that is a 10-Minute Life Lesson podcast. And thank you for putting up with the last couple of weeks as we've been working on different tech in different places, literally different places to record, different tech being used to get things done, hopefully as best as possible. We are very proud that the content, the words that are being said, have not gotten any less powerful, even if the sound that it sounds like, which isn't probably the proper way to do it, has been a little weird. So we're still working on new tech, new places, new designs, and as you heard today, new music. Not exactly in love with the music, but it's working for right now. It's good enough to get things done. So you let us know what you think about the music we have going in here, and maybe we can try to look in the archives and figure out where we had the original files for the last bit's music. With the music we have, you have to kind of keep things upbeat. We also shorten the intro, so you actually now get about 9 minutes and 30 seconds worth of information as opposed to the 9 minutes with a 1 minute intro. People have talked about intros, and so we worked on that. So we made it fairly quick, fairly easy, and hopefully you enjoyed that. So let us know about any of the changes that are now, as of now, in the process, and we may have some adjustments to the music going here and there. It's kind of a quick route to get the music into this week and go that way. We also are working on some better tech as well, which may come into play sooner than later. We'll see how it goes. If you say everything is fine, then I'll stop overthinking it, because right now I believe I'm overthinking it. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up before I try to have more time to overthink things. So, of course, this is a 10-Minute Life Lesson podcast, and its sister podcast, which is Steps You're Better You, both live at the website yourbetteryouinfo. So you can find out more information about You're Better You, the projects I have that are helping you in personal and professional development, whether it's simple, quick accountability coaching or a checklist on how to get things done, or you need full, deep one-on-one going through the whole thing. We can do that as well. Plus, the podcast would give you now a 9.5-minute lesson for 10 minutes and the 90-second Steps You're Better You. Those are all found at the website yourbetteryouinfo. Email me on this at yourbetteryouinfo@gmail.com. Email me at jclevenpayne.gmail.com for direct email, I guess, and check out my main website, jclevenpayne.net, for other issues, things going on in the whole shebang. With that, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to call it a good day and just let it be a good day and move on from there, because that's what we're doing the best we can what we have sometimes. Sometimes we don't have a lot. That doesn't mean we can't do a lot with that. Thank you so much for being a part of our world. We cannot do this without you guys tuning in and listening to the podcast. And make sure you share this podcast with other like-minded people who are looking for personal development, professional development in the same sort of vein that we're doing here. Because it's pretty simple. Most of these things are things you already know. You just need a little bit of reminder of how things can go, and sometimes a little support. We're offering that reminder, we're offering that support, and check us out if you need a little extra from there. With that, thank you again for joining us, and more great podcasting and information again next week from the 10-Minute Life Lesson podcast and yourbetteryou.info.